Hi and welcome to Two Wheels, and on this week's show, Adam Bright looks at what's become the fastest growing sector of the motorcycle market, supermotos. Lots and lots of fun, but at much lower speeds than your average sports bike. Adam looks at three of the very best available, a CCM, a KTM and a Gilera. But first, we're off to France to take a look at the machine which the makers hope will take them to the very top of the sales charts as far as touring bikes go, which is of course the brand new Pan-European. Honda's flagship tourer, the ST1100 Pan-European, was launched way back in 1989, and since then it's remained virtually unchanged, apart from a few tweaks here and there. It is of course the chosen bike for lots of professional riders, with many reporting trouble-free riding for well in excess of 100,000 miles. This then is the all-new ST1300 Pan-European, which Honda have just launched to the world's press here in the south of France. Existing owners were asked how they would like to see the current model improved, and the feedback was for more power, less weight, an adjustable screen and an adjustable seat. The style of this new machine is not massively different, but it is without doubt a much prettier bike with its smooth flowing lines and typically high level of finish. As you'd expect on any new machine, the 1261cc V4 motor is fuel injected, and of course it's brand new, as is every other component on this new bike. This launch is really the first time that the world's motorcycle press has had a chance to climb all over the bike and to actually touch and feel it. And it's always good to hear the first impressions of some of the other journalists, and to eavesdrop on one of the men involved with its development.
What you've got here is a mammoth jump forward as regards technology, and it's got like 20 brake horsepower more, and it's got fuel injection. Yep. It just feels like it has. And I was saying to Adam, the best thing would have been to do, or would be to do when you get back and you get one, is to have a run on the current one and then jump on this.
Sure. So, I mean, is it a subtle difference rather than a dramatic?
Yeah, it is.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
I think the controls are falling easily to hand, like.
I bet it goes around.
Tell me, Paul, what's your view of this new and improved version of the Pan-European?
It just looks dead big compared to the old.
It does actually, yeah.
It just looks big.
More modern, but
We saw it in
more
the
sizable,
NEC last year, and we saw it. Mine was up on a plinth, so it looked very grand. Sure. And we all went, "Wow, that's a big thing."
Where's the button?
It's got to be on the bar somewhere.
Well, that control doesn't fall easily to hand.
It doesn't. It's probably under the seat, man.
It
should be apparent, shouldn't it?
It should, yeah. Unless this is just a show model or something, and it hasn't got the switch.
It's hardly a show model if it doesn't show you where the bloody button to adjust the screen is it? Have you ridden it yet, Mark? Have you ridden? No. Ridden the existing one?
No.
Do you ride bikes? Do you ride bikes at all?
Funny enough, yeah.
Well, that was interesting stuff, I think you'll agree, from Dave Hancock, and he probably knows more about this bike than anybody else here today. That other guy, by the way, the lad with the funny accent, that's Chris Moss. He's a motorcycle journalist, and yes, before you ask, he is on a completely different planet to everybody else, believe me. But here it is, this is the new Pan-European, beautiful looking thing, as you can see. It is a brand new bike. Now, if the old one was so good that it stayed around for 12 years unchanged, why then suddenly change everything? Well, a kind of natural progression really, because of course we've got a new engine, we wanted more power and all the rest of it, so we've got a new motor. That has to sit in a new frame, so the frame has to be redesigned, and of course now it's aluminium instead of the old steel frame, so we've saved a bit of weight and we've upped the power as well. We wanted a seat that was adjustable. Well, this is a 3-position seat now, it's low, middle and high positions, so that has to sit on a new subframe. So you can see where I'm going, can't you? One thing leads to another, and not to dismiss the old bike in any way, but when you start redeveloping something and changing things and putting new things into it, you finish up with a completely new bike, and it is a brand new bike. As I say, gorgeous looking thing, and there's lots and lots of technological advancements in this bike. It's quite a high-tech thing, very sophisticated piece of kit, but more of all that blurb later on. I think the most important thing for now is to get on it and ride it. Okay, well, it's first impressions time, and a quick glance down the spec sheet shows that it's got more power and it's lighter. And yes, you can really tell. There's bags and bags of nice, smooth, torquey power from anywhere you choose in the rev range. As for the weight, well, it certainly feels sportier than the old ST1100. Not that that matters a great deal when you're blatting along at 100 miles an hour or so, but certainly through busy villages and small towns, it's a very unintimidating bike. It doesn't feel heavy and it's very, very manageable. Inspires great confidence. Well, you're impressed, aren't you? And so you should be impressed. This is a nice piece of kit, believe me. I can tell you that it comes in two versions. This one here sat in front of us is the standard version. It's the standard version because there's no ABS on it and there's no electric screen. Well, ABS, okay, personally I can live without ABS, I'm not bothered about that. But I will say that having ridden one with an electrically adjustable screen, I would definitely go for that option. £1,000 is the difference in price. This on the road is going to be about 10,300. If you want ABS, the deluxe model if you like, with ABS and electric screen, then it's going to cost you about 11,300, so it's £1,000 difference for that. Also, not available now in the Pan-European is TCS. That was available on the old ST1100s, traction control system. That isn't on it now, and you can't have it. The reason being, Honda have asked owners, do you want TCS? What do you think of it? And they said, no, we're not bothered, not interested in that, forget that, leave it off. So it isn't available. As I've already said, completely new frame, aluminium frame there, which means the engine is actually mounted slightly differently, but it's mounted further forward now. The engine is further forward, so there's more weight further forward, which means the seat can be mounted further forward, so the rider is further forward, which means the whole bike can be shorter. It's actually 50mm, which is only, what, a couple of inches. 50mm shorter wheelbase now on the whole thing. That engine, as I said, is brand new. That is a work of art. If you could see that engine, you can't, obviously it's covered in plastic bodywork. If you could see that, it is a work of art. Not only is it shorter that way, sort of front to back, but it's more compact that way. And one of the things they've used, or one of the ideas that they've used to do that, is they put the alternator in between the V's. If you imagine there's a V engine, the alternator is sat there in the middle, and that's an idea that they have actually patented, and of course it's helped them to keep it very short, very compact, the engine. The fuel tank is new as well. That on the ST1100s was not a fuel tank. The fuel tank went down below, and at the top it just covered up the airbox. Now the fuel sits in all of that. It is actually a proper metal fuel tank, so you can put a metallic tank bag on it as well. Slightly bigger than before, only by a litre, 29 litres, which will give it a good touring range, more than equal to all of its competitors, better than I think most of them. But it doesn't all sit up at the top. 21 litres sits at the top, and then 8 litres sits down below. It's kind of split in two, because you don't want 29 litres of fuel up there, because it's about the weight of 2 jerry cans, and that would not be a nice bike to ride. But it's the look of the bike that's going to appeal initially to buyers. I mean, nobody's going to buy anything if they don't actually like the look of it. Think it's ugly, they won't buy it no matter how good it's supposed to be. And I think this looks really, really smart. Nice lines, nice clean lines, very futuristic looking, very modern looking. The front of it with all these V's in it, they've sort of got this V theme going. The fairing there down into a V, it's carried through on the sides, there's V's there. And at the back as well, the tail light also is a V shape. Now you remember the old Fireblades with the fox eye headlamps. Said, oh yeah, fox eye headlamps. Well, I don't know who thought of that, but I've thought of a name for the tail light. I'm going to christen this, and I've not heard anyone say this yet. I'm going to christen that the butterfly shaped tail light, because it just looks like a butterfly, and I think it looks really smart. I'm sure you're all very impressed with my wealth of knowledge about the new Honda Pan-European, but of course I've read it all in a press pack. I hadn't really got my hands on the thing before today, and I've really only scratched the surface. There's loads of technology aboard, and it gets very, very complicated, but I won't even attempt to try and tell you all about that. But earlier I was fortunate enough to meet a man who's been involved with this bike for the last 5 years as a development rider. He is of course Dave Hancock.
Yeah, well, the original Pan-European was introduced in 1991. It took us, again, 3 years to develop that from the word go, from about 1989 onwards. Really, since that day, we've never actually changed it at all, apart from colours. It's remained the same through the 10 years it's been in the market. Well, we started development work on the new one around about 5 years ago. And what we do initially is we do a lot of survey work with the customers and just find out what they want, what they like, what they don't like about the current bike. And then we just go into making a new one. And pulling out the 4 main things that they wanted was just lighter weight, more power, an adjustable screen and an adjustable seat. So then we start development work from there and go on, and it just progresses through. Really what it does is it starts again on another 10-year cycle of the ST. And the way we develop bikes is that we actually within the machine there is developments that we can do further on through the years. So actually, I'm sure it's going to last another 10 years and beyond that really. It's a totally new bike. The whole thing is brand new. The chassis. There isn't one part really of the new ST that's taken from the old one. So it's a brand new machine.
Well, there you have it, spoken from a man who knows. Now, apart from a high degree of comfort, Honda reckon they've built in a fairly high level of performance to this new machine. They say it's not dissimilar to the VFR. Well, after the break, we'll take the new Pan onto some very challenging mountain roads, and we'll be talking to some of the top UK bike journalists to see what they think of the new machine. Welcome back to Two Wheels. Now, just before we take the Pan-European and put it through its paces on some fantastic mountain roads, here's Adam Bright with a look at 3 Supermotos.
Today we're going to talk about Supermotos. We've got the granddaddy of Supermotos, the Gilera Nordwest. We've got a proper competition bike, the KTM 620 Supercomp. We've got Britain's own CCM 604 Supermoto. You've probably seen them in the bike press, you've met the odd one at meets, but we're going to have a look at what they're really made of today. This is a 604E Supermoto, British built, upside down forks by White Power, Brembo caliper and disc, a stonking Rotax engine, finished off with a stainless steel exhaust system. These are available new for about 5 grand, second hand from about 4,000 quid. Let's have a look at the KTM. This is the KTM 620 Supercomp. It's an ex-motocrosser, so you get top quality components. You've got White Power right way up forks. You've got XL rims, KTM's own stonking motor, and a nice shiny swinging arm. Drawbacks with this bike, it's only kickstart. If you can find one, you're looking at between £3,000 and £3,500 for one of these. This is a Gilera Nordwest, the granddaddy of production supermotos. It's a 600cc single, it's got 17-inch wheels front and back, big disc brakes topped off by upside down forks. So what makes a supermoto? Well, it's basically a big trail bike with road wheels and tyres. Great fun to ride, but you're not going to risk your licence every single time you go for a spin. This is a Gilera Nordwest. It's the granddaddy of all supermotos. They were imported between 1990 and 1993. This is a 91 model, and it's been very, very well looked after. The forks are by Paoli, the brakes are by Gramica, and just look at those wheels. These start at about 1,500 quid, rising up to 2,300 for one that's in tip-top condition like this. This is the KTM 620 Supercomp. It's an animal. This is not one I'd recommend for your first supermoto. It's very, very powerful, based on a motocrosser. Look at the components here. Look at the shine on that swinging arm. It's a top quality motorbike. The forks, the wheels, everything about it shouts quality, but the engine shouts danger. It vibrates, it shakes, but it'll make you smile. Expect to pay about 3,000 quid for one of these, if you're lucky. They rise to 3,500, the cheapest I've ever seen was 2,800. Well worth the money if you're dedicated enough to ride it. This is CCM 604E. It's called the E because it's electric start as well as kickstart, and trust me, you don't want to be kicking this thing up. All the components on this bike are incredibly well made, top of the range. We've got White Power shocks, we've got top quality wheels, it comes equipped with the best tyres for this kind of bike. It's got everything you could want from a supermoto. I've got to say, this is my recommendation on this test. Summing all three up to ride, the KTM is a beast. It really is. You'll love it. It'll make you smile from ear to ear, but watch your licence. The Nordwest, very much a starter bike. It's got some power, it's got some go, but the handling and brakes really aren't on a par with the other two. And the CCM, pliant ride, safe, reliable, you're going to have fun, but it's not going to bite you back. So, we've tried them all. We've tried the road-orientated Gilera Nordwest, we've tried the utterly mad KTM Supercomp, and the CCM. For my money, the CCM's got to be the winner. It's easy to ride, easy to maintain, reasonably cheap, but it's still got that competition edge.
Now, touring a Ducati are perhaps two words that you don't normally put together. Well, as if to prove you wrong, Ducati do make touring bikes, the ST2 and the ST4, but I'm going to deal with the ST2 just for now. See, these side cases, it's purpose designed to carry these side cases and a top box. These are very quickly detachable. They cost you 350 quid as an optional extra, but they're very neat. Even the exhaust system is adjustable. You can actually swivel the silencer down and make it lower to put the side cases on, lift it up for a bit more sort of sporty work. The engine itself is a V-twin, a Desmo, single overhead cam, and it's air and liquid cooled. It's got the standard lattice frame, which you're all used to with Ducatis, and this very, very neat fairing. They've just introduced a brand new comfort kit, by the way, which you can raise the bars up another touch, and you can also get an extended screen on there as well if you're taller like me. But I actually found this fairing itself was pretty good when I road tested it, and the mirrors were very effective as well. But if you want a little bit more oomph, you go for the ST4, and that's over here. Yes, this is the ST4S. Looks very, very similar, and it is very, very similar. All the fairing, you can get all the optional luggage, which is exactly the same, the top box and the comfort kit and all the rest of it. But the big difference with this, it's got the 996 motor in there, the big 4-valve Desmo unit in there. Also, it's got fully adjustable suspension. The suspension on the ST2 is pretty basic, but this one adjustable at the front and adjustable at the rear, even while you're going along. See that adjuster there? So this is the big brother, and this one will cost you 8,500.
Welcome back to the Pan-European Test Part 2. Now, I said earlier that we were going to put the pan through its paces a little bit. We would wind the wick up a little bit, so to speak. Well, that's what's happening here. We're out in the mountains now on some fantastic roads, beautiful surface, lovely visibility through a lot of the corners. It's a really nice place. What happens here is all the journos, all this lot, these are all the UK journalists. We've got Motorcycle News, Bike Magazine, Biker, Superbike, 2 wheels only, all sorts of magazines. Park up here on a corner, send the photographer somewhere, the local truckers, even they enjoy it. Send the photographer somewhere up into the hillside, and then it's a case of going hooning round the corner, scraping the pegs, wheeling it, doing whatever they like really. And these are all them fantastic shots you see in the magazines. Now, you know them pictures you see in the magazines? They're really good, aren't they? Dead sharp, crystal clear. Hey, it's no wonder it. Look at this. Bloody hell, where's the sun? Here it comes. By now, you might be thinking that dedicated touring bikes aren't meant to be this much fun. And it's fair to say that 99% of people who will ever ride this new machine will never attempt riding like that. Still, it's all done in the interest of research, and it's nice to know that the ability is there should you ever need it. Sustained high-speed travel is the forte of the new Pan. It has to be just about the most comfortable bike in its class. The adjustable screen works perfectly, and it's strange to be blatting along at well over 100 miles an hour in almost complete silence. The handling is much improved over the old ST. It's much more agile. Not quite sports bike, but to be honest, not exactly a million miles away either. You may think I'm missing the point. Well, not really. You see, the Pan's long-range touring ability has never been in question. It's always been supremely comfortable and reliable, but now they've managed to combine those qualities with fantastic handling. It's sure to be a winner. What then do some of the other journalists think of the new bike?
Well, to be honest with me, I'm a bit of a virgin on the Pan-European because I never rode the last one because to me it was just too ugly to ride. Bit of a munter, but the new one, they've done a proper styling job on it. Lots of swoopy lines in there. I've borrowed a lot from the VFR 800, I think, the new one. So it looks mega. 15 kilos less dry weight's got to be a good thing. 20 horsepower more, it's got to be an even better thing, and they've actually made the whole wheelbase shorter.
It's typical Honda. It's an improvement on the old one. The existing customers are going to love it. But, you know, they've taken everything that was good about the old Pan and just notched it up a little bit. The engine's fantastic. It sounds lovely. It's got a real sort of bark to it. It feels nice. It's as comfy as the old one. It looks up to date. It's a great bike.
Yeah, pretty impressed really. I mean, it's my sort of bike. I'm sort of getting into my sort of middle-aged period, and on that basis, I like a bit of comfort and civility. There wasn't much wrong with the current model, I have to say, and it's not a world apart, but there is a lot more sort of power and civility about it, and the handling, I think, is the best improvement. I mean, these roads in this part of the world are very, very demanding. You've got to be on the ball. It's a big and heavy bike. It's not that easy to chuck about. You need to ride with quite a bit of anticipation and make sure that the bike's set up before you chuck it into a corner. But as your footage has shown earlier, you know, you can ride this bike like a sports bike. And it's a bit more of, it's more of the same really, the same sort of level of refinement and civility and ease of use for which the Pan-European has become very famous. I don't see any reason why this bike probably won't be changed for the next 10 years like the original one was in essence. I'd very much like to ride it home actually. It's a great shame that we've only had a play on it in, well, all right, a nice part of the world, but I think you'd really see its very best virtues if you sat on it for, you know, many hours and got yourself back home. 1,000 mile a day bike, easy, no problem.
Well, there you have it. That's praise indeed, and believe me, some of them guys don't give praise out very lightly at all. It seems like the future of Honda's Pan-European is in pretty good shape, which is more than I can say for me. I need a damn good shave. Well, that's all from Two Wheels for this week, and I have had a shave since then, in case you didn't notice. But on next week's show, Adam Bright will be back. He'll be taking out BMW's R1200C, the big cruiser. Jeff will have some more for fans of Ducatis, and we'll be joining Wayne again in his warehouse.